Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about how to memorize multiplication table. So here I put the multiplication table down here. So for example, if you want to know what is 4 times 5, first you find 4 here, and you know that it should be in this row. And then you find 5. You know your product should be in this column here. So the product will be shown here. So it's 20, which is shown here. So you have to really memorize this whole table here. Unfortunately, if you just stare at it for an hour, 2 hours, that will not help at all. So our brain is actually not working that way. So what should we do? We should have a lot of practice. And also we need to understand the meaning or say the pattern in this table. I will explain this later. Also, if you can have some really fun facts or say fun songs or videos related to that, that would be great. For example, on YouTube, you will have number blocks talking about 1 times table, 2 times table, and so on. If you can watch them and sing the song, that might be helpful. Okay, now I want to talk about how to really memorize the whole table, line by line. So first, I want to talk about 1 times table and 10 times table. Shown here is the 1 times table. This one is pretty easy. For example, here, you see this column here. That means 1 times 2 is 2. You can see up and down here, they have the same number. So basically, that is 1 times any number will be the number itself. So that's pretty easy to memorize. So that's about 1 times table. How about 10 times table? It's shown down here. Again, we can pick this one to take a look. So that means 4 times 10 is 40. You can see that what you do is just copy this number and then add a 0 as the last digit. So that's about 10 times table. So 10 times any number will be that number. You copy that number and add a 0 to its right. This is always true for all the 10 times table case. Let's move to the other lines. Next, I want to talk about 2 to 4 times table. I put them together because they are very similar. I use the 2 times table down here as an example. First, I want to clarify that what you want to memorize is something like 2 times 2 is 4, but not just counting the even numbers 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. You should know where this product is coming from. Or in other words, which two numbers multiplied together to get this product. Also, you need to be familiar with addition and subtraction before you go to this step. Here, I mean, you should know the result of any combination of two numbers added together or subtract really well. Okay, if you are familiar with that, you can start to look at this 2 times table. So it's like 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, and so on. And a lot of the kids when they start to memorize this table, they actually secretly adding 2 each time they go to the next number, like this. How to get this 4? You add 2 with another 2 to get this 4. How to get 6? You have 4, you add another 2 to get 6. You can keep going like this. It all follows that pattern. It's okay at first. And then after some time, hopefully you can remember. You can start to memorize some of it. For example, if you memorize 2 times 6 is 12, you already know that really well. what you can do is get its adjacent cell really fast without counting from the beginning. So say, what is 2 times 7? You just start to add 2. So that will be 14. And how to get 2 times 5? You subtract 2 to get 10. So in this way, you don't really need to start with 2 and keep adding each time to get those numbers. So that is much easier. And hopefully after some practice, you will know more and more products in this table without doing any calculation. For 3 times table and 4 times table, we do very similar things. So I will not go into detail for that. Next is about 5 times table. I show it down here. Again, you can use adding 5 each time to try to memorize this table. Here, what I want to say is the pattern about this 5 times table. So if you observe the last digit, you can see that it has a clear pattern. It's 5, 0, 5, 0, and keep going. So the pattern for the last digit will be 0, 5, 0, 5. So you don't really have to add 5 each time because you already know this pattern. Also, for the 10th digit, if you look at that, it will be 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, and so on. So it's like counting numbers, but each one you have to count twice. So this is some pattern for the 5 times table. And hopefully that will help you to memorize this table here. For the 6 to 8 times table, I want to put them together to talk about. Because all those numbers are pretty big, you don't want to really add 6 or 7 or 8 each time you go to the next cell. Luckily, we don't have so many numbers to memorize. Why? Because if you look at those numbers here, it's just coming from the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times table, which I have talked about previously. So if you memorize the 1 to 5 times table, you should be able to know all those pretty well. What you need to memorize is just those ones in the yellow circle. And down here, those 3 have a symmetric pattern here as those 3. So you don't have to worry about them. Also for those 3, they are 6 times 6, 7 times 7, 8 times 8. So in other words, they are square numbers. So you can memorize those 3 from the square number point of view. And also on YouTube, the number blocks have a bunch of videos talking about square numbers, which might be helpful. So what you really need to focus is just those 3 numbers up here. So it's not very lot. After a bunch of practice, you should be able to memorize that. Then the next is 9 times table. So for this one, there is also a pattern here. If you look at the last digit, it will be 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. So it's like counting backwards. So that's a pattern of the last digit. Also, there is a pattern about the 10th digit. If you consider this is nothing here is 0, so it's from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's like counting forward. So that's a pattern of the 10th digit. Another good thing about the 9 times table is if you look at the product, the 2 digits will add up to be 9. What does that mean? So for example here, 7 times 9 is 63. So the 2 digits of the product will be 6 and 3. So what is 6 plus 3? It's 9. And this is true also for the other product. say 9, 18, all the way up to 90. It's all like this. So this also will help you to memorize the 9 times table. And for this very last one, I will leave it until the 11 times table. So for the 11 times table, for example, this one, 3 times 11 is 33. It's also have a pattern here. So what you do is just to repeat whatever this number twice. So 11 times whatever number is just you repeat this number twice. So this happens all the way down here to 99. For this 10 times 11 is 110. You can use 10 times table to memorize that. And for this last one, it's 11 times 11. It's a square number. So you can memorize from the square numbers point of view. And that's all about my tricks to memorize multiplication table. I hope that helps. Thank you.